In the realm of popular culture, zombies reign supreme. Think about it. Who hasn't indulged in a zombie film, dove into a zombie game, or lost themselves in a zombie novel? For many, they represent a beloved horror trope, fun and thrilling, not to be taken too seriously. But imagine for a moment if the United States military viewed zombie outbreaks as a major threat. What if they had a detailed strategy ready for such a scenario, even categorizing the different types of zombies? Welcome to the reality of Department of Defense CONPLAN 8888. In a world where the unimaginable may lurk at the edges of our perception, the Pentagon devised an official survival guide. It was the year 2009 when the United States Strategic Command unveiled CONPLAN 8888. By 2011, it was finalized into what is known as CONPLAN 8888-11. This fascinating document, titled Counter-Zombie Dominance Operations, spanned 32 pages, unveiling a meticulously crafted military strategy for navigating the chaos of a zombie apocalypse. Its purpose, as stated in the document: this plan fulfills emergency contingency planning guidance tasking for U.S. STRATCOM to develop a comprehensive Level 3 plan to undertake military operations to preserve non-zombie humans from the threats posed by a zombie horde. Whoa. It continues. Because zombies pose a threat to all non-zombie human life, hereafter referred to as humans, U.S. STRATCOM will be prepared to preserve the sanctity of human life and conduct operations in support of any human population, including traditional adversaries. The objective of this plan is threefold. First, establish and maintain a vigilant defensive condition aimed at protecting humankind from zombies. Second, if necessary, conduct operations that will, if directed, eradicate zombie threats to human safety. Third, aid civil authorities in maintaining law and order and restoring basic services during and after a zombie attack. The document was declassified in 2011 thanks to a FOIA request. One section of CONPLAN 8888 details that this is a fictitious training exercise to avoid the political fallout of devising plans that involve Tunisia or Nigeria as given examples. Another section states that this will remain unclassified to provide maximum utility during times of crisis, and that only our specific capability to counter the zombie threat will remain classified. Strange for a fictitious scenario. This plan was crafted to face unimaginable losses, akin to those of a nuclear conflict. It unfolds through 5 distinct operational phases, starting from careful monitoring of the situation and leading all the way to the restoration of civil authority. Phase 0, titled Shape, is where STRATCOM begins its watch. This phase involves monitoring for threats like chemical and biological weapons that could lead to zombieism. It encompasses the tracking of disease vectors and potential outbreaks. Next comes Phase 1, Deterrence. Since zombies cannot be reasoned with, this phase focuses on preventing those who might create or use zombies. The list of potential threats includes hostile foreign players, terrorists, rogue nation-states, and unethical bioengineering firms. Think of the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil. In Phase 2, the call to action begins. STRATCOM assembles all troops ready to assist local authorities. Forces are gathered and counted as deployment zones take shape. Quarantine zones emerge to shield the vulnerable. Parallel to this, confidence-building measures unfold with nuclear powers like Russia. This ensures that the buildup of anti-zombie forces aren't misinterpreted as preparations for war. As this is happening, civilian areas receive vital protection until they face overwhelming odds or deplete supplies. It paints a grim picture. The plan recognizes several significant deficiencies. One of the key flaws cited is the lack of supplies to endure longer than 30 days under siege against zombies in most locations. Phase 3 is where the action heats up. Dominate, respond, and counter. In this phase, the U.S. military gears up for an offensive against the zombie scourge. Essential planning and command personnel are secured in lockdown, sheltering them in fortified locations for a minimum of 40 days. Once a command is issued from U.S. STRATCOM, forces engage the undead threat. After shoring up defenses wherever possible, the military launches assaults against the relentless zombie hordes. This part is dark, as they identify nuclear weapons as the most effective method to confront these monstrous adversaries. Phases 4 and 5 shift the focus towards stabilizing the environment and reinstating governmental authority. Reconnaissance operations are conducted to evaluate the lingering zombie menace. Meanwhile, fortified personnel draw up strategies to tackle any remaining zombies. Importantly, Phases 4 and 5 can only commence a minimum of 40 days after Phase 3 operations have begun. In the aftermath of the zombie menace, we enter the cleanup phase. Reconnaissance teams are sent out to evaluate the environment's safety. They assess physical and epidemiological risks, inspecting essential services. This includes checking on water, electricity, sewage systems, and communication networks. Once any dangers are dealt with, rebuilding can begin. Meanwhile, the planning and command staff who had previously secured themselves stay in lockdown. They remain there as long as any zombie threat persists. CONPLAN 8888 describes 5 critical phases, but the story it tells is a grim one. It reveals that local law enforcement will face the zombie menace until martial law takes over. Once that happens, civilians are mostly on their own. Yet the military's fate isn't promising either. According to the document, most military lockdown zones are expected to be overwhelmed within days, and only a handful have the strength to withstand the looming devastation. The plan suggests that within the first few days, the majority of government and military leaders will perish. In fact, the strategy reveals that nearly everything could be overwhelmed in a mere 48 hours. Cities rendered unlivable, infrastructure crumbles, leading to chaotic times. The purpose behind CONPLAN 8888 is to maintain military command and control. This sounds promising if you're secure at Offutt Air Force Base, one of the rare locations cited as tough enough to endure a zombie onslaught. Yet for most of us, it seems we're left to fend for ourselves. To survive the zombie apocalypse, information and preparedness are your best friends. Because, as the document points out, zombie outbreaks can happen to anyone, anywhere. While the US currently enjoys several asymmetric advantages against zombie infections originating in the Eurasian landmass, these advantages can easily be negated by air and sea traffic that could transport the source of a zombie infection to North and South America. Further, asteroids and nuclear space radiation can convert people into zombies and can affect any landmass or population on Earth. But wait, there's more. The Department of Defense has documented various types of zombies, each with unique characteristics. They've also devised strategies to handle these creatures, and some of the strategies might shock you. CONPLAN 8888 Section 6 classifies zombies into various types. Among them, we find Category 1, designated as the most likely threat. These are the pathogenic zombies, or PZs, born from the terrifying combination of viruses or bacteria, infecting a human and transforming them into a zombie. This idea isn't fiction. Real diseases have mutated, some even cross species, leading to actual outbreaks. Rabies serves as an excellent example of such a disease. This virus spreads through infected saliva and can be deadly. A single bite from an infected individual or animal is often a death sentence. The rabies virus wreaks havoc on the central nervous system, turning victims into creatures that fear water and exhibit aggression. This change in behavior resembles a form of mind control. The fear of water is so intense that simply thinking about drinking causes agony. This dreadful condition helps saliva infected with rabies to accumulate in their mouths, amplifying the risk of transmission through a bite. Imagine a creature suffering from neurodegeneration, driven by aggression, a longing to bite, and a capability to spread disease. Truly, that's a zombie. Iconic films like Resident Evil, I Am Legend, and 28 Days Later depict these horrifying virus-based zombies. Prion diseases transform living beings into something like zombies. These rogue proteins twist and damage the brain and nervous systems of mammals. One notable example is chronic wasting disease found in deer. It brings about strange behaviors that may help spread the illness. Affected deer display signs like listlessness, tremors, and repetitive walking patterns. They also experience increased urination and salivation. These symptoms aid in the virus's transmission to other deer. Interestingly, these animals begin to lose their natural fear of humans. This newfound fearlessness makes them vulnerable to hunters or predators in search of a meal. Sadly, this disease ultimately culminates in death. Consuming meat from an animal afflicted with prion disease poses a risk to humans. A prime example is mad cow disease. Ingesting infected beef can lead to Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans. This disease advances rapidly, often leading to death within about 13 months after symptoms appear. Symptoms include mood swings, coordination loss, involuntary movements, and aggression. Another devastating prion disease is Kuru. It predominantly impacts cannibalistic tribes in Papua New Guinea and shares similar symptoms like involuntary muscle movements and aggression. Sound familiar? It resembles a zombie, doesn't it? The zombies portrayed in the film Zombieland are said to trace their origins to a mad cow disease transfer to humans. Parasites can also give rise to zombie life forms, creating what CONPLAN 8888 calls symbiont-induced zombies, or SZs. Surprisingly, a large segment of the human population unknowingly harbors a parasitic behavior modifier. Enter Toxoplasma gondii, a single-celled parasite that thrives in contaminated water, soil, vegetables, and undercooked meats, especially pork. Anything that may come into contact with cat feces raises suspicion. It's estimated that about 22.5% of people in the US carry this parasite, with that number soaring to 50% globally. This widespread prevalence can be traced back to cats, as nearly half of all felines worldwide possess antibodies to Toxoplasma from prior infections. CONPLAN 8888 refers to these unsettling creatures as symbiont-induced zombies. Rather than simply ending your life, these parasites take control of your actions, potentially leading to a later demise. A common wasp known as the Glyptapentelles performs this eerie mind takeover, injecting parasitic larvae into unsuspecting caterpillars. After the larva finds a home inside, the caterpillar feeds itself to gather nutrients, preparing for the upcoming birth of the wasps. When the larvae finally emerge, the caterpillar enters a protective stance, thrashing around fiercely if disturbed, safeguarding the wasps within. Interestingly, not all wasp larvae abandon the caterpillar. A couple of them remain behind, ensuring the ongoing mind control of the caterpillar, sacrificing their own chance to pupate. They prioritize maintaining control over the caterpillar, preserving the safety of their siblings. Fungal versions of these parasites also exist. Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, also known as zombie ant fungus. This fungus, as the name implies, turns ants into zombies. Infected ants abandon their colonies and climb high branches. They bite down on leaves and suspend themselves above the colony. The fungus consumes the ant, and fruiting bodies grow from its head. These rupture and rain spores on the colony below. The ant's final act devastates the colony, spreading infection and creating more zombies. The Last of Us and State of Decay video games feature zombies of the cordyceps variety. Radiation zombies, or RZs, are another type in CONPLAN 8888. Born from intense exposure to electromagnetic or particle radiation, these beings are the aftermath of nuclear explosions, toxic waste, and cosmic rays. Surprisingly, according to the Pentagon, even solar flares and coronal mass ejections can unleash zombies upon the Earth. Imagine during large solar events, hordes of these creatures may rise. Let's journey back to 1859, the year of the Carrington event. Our planet received an incredible surge of solar radiation. Telegraph lines were fried, creating stunning auroras and igniting electrical fires. Should a similar event occur today, humanity would face dire ramifications. Our nervous systems would absorb dangerous radiation, reminiscent of Chernobyl, where emergency responders encountered life-altering doses. While some adapted, others faced cell deterioration and terrifying radiation-induced hallucinations. Survivors displayed aggressive tendencies, hitting at the unsettling reality of radiation zombies, or RZs, akin to the ghouls from the Fallout universe. As we gaze into the future, scientists forge pathways to treat diseases through engineered bacteria. With CRISPR technology, they can rewrite genetic codes, targeting tumors with precise methods. Oncolytic viruses act as programmed allies in cancer therapy, hints of what could be. If labs refine these parasites, engineer bacteria to obey commands, and tame the chaotic aftermath of human radiation exposure, we may stand on the brink of weaponized zombies. Another chilling concept from CONPLAN 8888. In a tale of gruesome innovation, imagine weaponized zombies, or WZs, crafted for military missions. The Pentagon deems this a dangerous prospect as the technology is already on the table. The pioneers of this ominous tech? None other than the Pentagon and CIA. A primary focus of the Department of Defense revolves around chemical weapons that target the brain and nervous system. Consider the effects of Agent Orange or sarin gas. During the shadows of the Cold War, both the US and Russia ventured into creating chemical agents aimed at incapacitating their foes. In 1951, the US Army experimented with 3-quinocladinyl benzylate, given the NATO designation BZ. This lethal agent provoked delirium, hindered muscle coordination, and induced vivid hallucinations. These toxic weapons edged closer to a horrifying transformation into a zombified entity. Project Artichoke was launched by the CIA in 1951, eventually evolving into the notorious MKUltra. For over 2 decades, these experiments sought complete dominance over a subject's mental landscape, aiming to eliminate the will of the individual. It's a narrative that eerily suggests the crafting of a zombie. Meanwhile, CRISPR gene editing emerges, manipulating organisms at their very core, with synthetic biology constructing entirely new living systems. Imagine a hostile nation or a terrorist faction devising a scheme to engineer controllable zombies through these advanced methods. These zombies can take on varied forms, potentially impacting nearly anyone. But this tale doesn't end here. CONPLAN 8888 reveals the military's preparations for zombies that may even descend from the cosmos. Space zombies, or SZs, are beings from other planets, or created through toxic contamination of our environment due to alien toxins or radiation. To safeguard against extraterrestrial threats, NASA and the military have established strict protocols. When the Apollo astronauts returned from the moon, they entered a 21-day quarantine. The fear was that lunar microorganisms could jeopardize life on our planet. This caution applies to any alien environment harboring microorganisms that haven't evolved on Earth, such as those from asteroids, meteors, or comets. The potential for such threats looms over any territory on our planet. According to US Stratcom's CONPLAN 8888, asteroids and nuclear space radiation might transform humans into zombies. This risk could impact every population or landmass on Earth. Because zombie outbreaks can escalate rapidly, swift and overwhelming military action might be necessary to eliminate the menace. Research indicates that life can endure where it seems impossible. The saying, "life finds a way," rings true. Known as extremophiles, these resilient organisms thrive in harsh conditions. Tardigrades, for example, survive the vacuum of space. If a similar entity exists elsewhere, it could pose a risk to human biology. Large celestial objects like asteroids and comets might carry these alien microorganisms to Earth. The upcoming 3I Atlas, with its vast particle cloud, raises eyebrows. It's a close pass that could potentially inundate our atmosphere with alien particles. Food for thought. Another legendary event linked to space phenomena is the Tunguska event of 1908. It devastated over 1,000 square miles of Siberian forest. An impact of such scale would be impossible to contain before becoming a global crisis. The video games Prey and Dead Space explore the chilling idea of space zombies. CONPLAN 8888 suggests that nuclear weapons could be our best defense against these cosmic undead. In fact, it identifies nuclear arms as the most effective solution to tackle the undead in general. As we delve further, prepare for the unusual to get even more bizarre. Among the many types of zombies, one stands out: This particular zombie type has been tagged by the Pentagon as a formidable challenge. No conventional or nuclear weapons can kill it. Only divine intervention, a power from God, can truly inflict harm. Enter evil magic zombies, or EMZs. The Pentagon has formulated an official strategy addressing supernatural zombies and their creation. It's no surprise, as the Pentagon has long been involved with psychic programs and has kept a watchful eye on occult groups. Refer to U.S. Stratcom CONPLAN 8888, Section 4, Subsection 6. Here lies the summary on zombie threats, specifically Part 3 about evil magic zombies. These zombies arise from occult phenomena, which remain elusive and difficult to monitor or validate. These EMZs are born from dark forces. The only definitive way to ensure a zombie's demise is through cremation. However, EMZs may not fall victim to this tactic. They pose the greatest challenge when directly confronted. According to the documents, destroying the source of the malevolent magic can often eliminate these zombies. Thus, efforts will focus on eliminating the wizards of evil behind the creation of such entities. Imagery from the White Walkers in Game of Thrones or the Scourge in Warcraft serve as powerful examples. CONPLAN 8888 emphasizes the Chaplain Corps as the primary defense against EMZs. The military regards the Chaplain Corps with seriousness. This plan mandates direct engagement with the EMZs using divine strength. The Pentagon belief hinges on the idea that God-given power holds the key to defeating these creatures. This belief nudges us closer to a possible Warhammer 40k reality. The military's interaction with the supernatural is not a novel concept. Even during World War II, both factions exploited occult branches. The Nazis had the Ahnenerbe, while the Allies formed their own paranormal task forces. Churchill sought guidance from astrologers, and notable occultists Aleister Crowley and Ian Fleming collaborated with MI6, with Fleming later shaping the character of James Bond. During the Cold War, the U.S. Army took an interest in psychic warfare and launched their own Project Stargate in 1977, a unit devoted to remote viewing and psychic influence. The military has everything meticulously organized, kept classified, and ready. The impending battle looks daunting, but will prevail, right? Perhaps not. Page 16 offers unsettling insights into U.S. Stratcom's CONPLAN 8888, Section 4, Subsection 13.3. The risks and limitations. To adequately defend against a zombie invasion, an array of supplies is necessary. Sandbags, barbed wire, anti-personnel mines, and chemical agents. These essentials are not available in the required amounts, straining our logistical capabilities. U.S. Stratcom also lacks enough contingency supplies, food, and water to sustain 30 days of barricaded defense against zombies. Furthermore, no combat forces exist to thwart a zombie assault effectively. While various zombie types have specific tactical recommendations, the reality is a lack of soldiers to fight back. How does the Pentagon respond to a crisis for which they're ill prepared? They've been crafting a new kind of army, millions trained specifically for the zombie apocalypse. Through immersive conditioning, these soldiers have acquired essential survival skills for this grim reality. They learn to unite for the sake of humanity's survival. This secret army emerged unnoticed to all but the most astute observers. We are that army. The military has orchestrated a means to combat the zombie menace. A plan exists, yet without enough soldiers, they had to create us. For over 20 years, a covert psychological operation has trained civilians. Iconic titles like Resident Evil, I Am Legend, and The Walking Dead have subtly prepared us for survival. Countless lessons on where to be wary, what to avoid, always keeping an exit in mind and ensuring resourcefulness have seeped into our consciousness. Through popular culture, we have unwittingly absorbed zombie apocalypse strategies. The training has indeed shaped us all. We all share the same books, films, stories, and games. The military didn't require training grounds. Entertainment became their academy. This phenomenon might go beyond mere zombie preparedness, but that's a discussion for another day. Yes, CONPLAN 8888 includes references to numerous classified strategies, never intended for public eyes. Annex C speaks of space control. while Annex S explores special technical operations. Meanwhile, Annex D is dedicated to classified logistical matters. Footnotes abound, leading to undisclosed details. While zombie scenarios are unclassified, the true military prowess remains shrouded in secrecy. CONPLAN 8888 aligns with other active military plans, like CONPLAN 8035 for space operations and CONPLAN 8531 for pandemic responses. Note that only the zombie aspects are unclassified. Jokes may dismiss the threat's reality, but subtle hints reveal a deeper concern. Our means to address this possible danger? Classified. If these capabilities are genuine and connected to tangible classified operations, and a PSYOP has been running for over 2 decades, then a threat lurks beneath the surface. So what steps can you and I take to prepare ourselves? How can we ready ourselves for what lies ahead? Well, think about what you learned from zombie media. When the outbreak starts, you have about 24 to 48 hours before things get very bad. What you do first depends on where you are. If you're in a city, get out fast. Cities are death traps. All of those people packed together are zombies waiting to happen. In a dense population center, the infection will spread fast. Hospitals will fill with infected and people who don't understand what's happening, looking for a way of dealing with the problem. These will become primary infection vectors. Police stations will likely suffer a similar fate, overwhelmed by people looking for help that police are unequipped to give. Once people start realizing what's happening, police stations will be a source of supplies that will be scavenged in earnest. Police officers who recognize the score early have probably already gone home to help their families. The ones who didn't are likely zombie chow. This may be grim, but the document is clear. It points out that most locations, including military bases, will be overrun almost immediately. The document remains clear-eyed about our likely fate. The next step is to get somewhere with as few people as possible. The more remote, the better. A campsite, cabin, homestead, or farm. If you don't own such a place, then make friends with someone who does, ideally before the outbreak. Friends who know you and have the resources you lack are an asset. What matters now are basic resources like food and water, and people who know how to defend them. Guns are loud and attract attention. Try to have silencers and shoot as little as possible. It will generate less noise and conserve ammo. Silencers are a pre-outbreak planning stage solution. On the fly, use bats, crowbars, pipes, anything to keep zombies at a distance. Avoid drawing attention with gunshots. Use guns if you have to, but stay quiet. Your enemy now isn't just infected, it's regular people driven to extreme ends in desperation. Scavenging in a city early on is going to get you killed. You need supplies ready before disaster strikes. Have a bug-out bag ready to go. Food and water are heavy. Carry water purification tablets or filters. Iodine pills for radiation. If you pack food, make sure it's light and calorie-dense like pemmican or protein bars. If you can afford a bunker and food supply for years, that's great. If not, you need to know how to hunt. Pack other essential supplies like fire starters, solar flashlights, needle and thread, first aid supplies, etc. A radio, small hatchet, and fishing line. There is a lot of content related to survival situations in bug-out bags. Use your instincts to pick what's right for you. Learn basic survival skills like how to set snares and tripwires, how to hunt and fish, how to make a quick shelter. A lot of the best things you can do start before the outbreak. Identify good people, talk to your friends and neighbors, find out what they're good at. Survival in a group of people with skills that offset yours is ideal. There is safety in numbers. Let's consider if these scenarios are fact or fiction. This plan, as stated within, was developed tongue-in-cheek, a joke meant to be a training exercise for junior officers. It's a great idea, fun and engaging, perfect material for learning a concept. On some level, I understand the theory of not stepping on toes politically by wargaming a fake plan against specific countries. I think that's a weak excuse, but I'm sure the officers had a memorable learning experience. For the rest of us, the plan highlights some major shortcomings in the face of such a large disaster. If any event of similar magnitude occurred, we would be in for a world of hurt, zombies or no zombies. That almost everywhere in the world would be overrun within 48 hours, with almost no hope of recovery or help from authorities is a tough pill to swallow. A good takeaway from this would be to not count on the government or the military to save you in a crisis. Maybe that was the Pentagon's true intention, to leak to the public that they cannot win every engagement, that there may be scenarios that we need to prepare ourselves for, and to not depend on authorities. I doubt many need that lesson hammered home at this point, but it's a lesson offered by CONPLAN 8888 nonetheless. So what's the truth? Is it a fake plan for fun, or do real threats exist? For my part, I'm going to be keeping a bug-out bag ready and getting prepared. Post-2020, conspiracies have a habit of becoming reality, and this one has some teeth.